Nella sezione Orizzonti passa il film di Peter Greenaway, The Marriage. So, this is a film, not yet really a film. Five sections on the marriage of Veronese in the island of St. George, here in Venice, participating to the Biennale too, and now presented here at the festival in Venice. So, which is your love for art? This is not your first experiment in using canvases, paintings, very famous painters. So why?
Well, you're absolutely right. I think I probably sat here, probably on this very lawn, in 1982, a long, long time ago, with my first film at the Venice Film Festival, which was called The Draftsman's Contract, which was all about a draftsman, indeed, drawing a painting which ultimately had him accused of murder. So there's this interest, I think, constantly about how important painting and drawing is. I'm convinced that probably the first mark ever made by man was a painting. And when painting goes down the tubes, as I'm sure it will, the last mark made by man will be a painting. So painting is very important indeed. The world that we've made, this building, these gardens, everything around us, is created people with a sense of design, and most of that design, certainly up to the invention of photography in the 1830s, was organized by painters. So painters have created the world. So I think they're very, very important. And I think painting is always at the very, very cutting edge. If you think of the 20th century, you think of surrealism, fauvism, impressionism, post-impressionism, structuralism, all these isms. They're related essentially to painting, but they spill over into the world around us, and they become part of the way we understand phenomena. I'm deeply prejudiced because I'm trained as a painter. Painting is what I originally wanted to do. Through a whole series of mistakes, I ended up becoming a film director. But film directing is about visual imagery, it's about the making of images, so there is a necessary continuity. So, when somebody gives me the opportunity to bring together my two great loves, one is painting, one is cinema, I'm going to say, yes please, I'm going to be very happy, I'll make it for you.
But may I say something? I don't think that this will be your first love, painting, but you do the same, making cinema, making movies, because in every one of your films we always find out few or a lot of references on paintings, choice of colors, choice of paintings, disposition of characters, so everything.
Well, you're going to find it again. You're going to find it again if you come and have a look at what we're doing tomorrow. But there are other interesting things. I think cinema's dead. I don't think there are any interesting movies anymore. I mean, what have you done? What have you done to your Italian film industry? You had these amazing guys like, Pasolini and Fellini. They're all gone. What have you done? What have you done to destroy this amazing, amazing industry? But of course you're not alone, because most European films are finished now. There aren't any. I mean, Lars von Trier, Almodovar, it's very, very difficult to think of anybody else who has a really, really sort of individualistic auteur reputation. So I think really, cinema's has had enough now. We've seen all the films. We know all the stories. You go to the cinema, within 5 minutes, you know what's going to happen, you know the genre and so on. And cinema knows this as well. That's why it's changing. We've moved from celluloid now to tape. We're really a television industry now. And we're developing ideas of a much more personalized sort of interactive DVD phenomenon. Most people in the world watch their movies either on television or DVD. They don't go to the cinemas anymore. Those strange dark places where you're supposed to sit in the dark and exchange your emotions with strangers. That's finished. Was good for our fathers and our forefathers, but not anymore. The laptop generation just don't go to the cinema anymore. I live in Holland. And the Dutch have the worst statistics in the world for going to the cinema. The average Dutch citizen only goes to the cinema once every 2 years. People aren't going to the cinema anymore. And in Holland, people don't watch television anymore. So television is dying, cinema is dying, but what is being replaced is this interactive phenomenon, Facebook, YouTube, the whole interactivity which is related to young people because they can become part of it. It's not something over there, it's something here. And that's the phenomenon of the future. And if we're going to go on making movies, we have to change our attitudes. We have to now talk to the laptop generation and make phenomena which are both interactive and multimedia. And cinema cannot be interactive, and cinema cannot be multimedia. So that's the end of cinema.
And as this is the end of cinema, and you try to do something absolutely different, for example, cutting scenes, 5 parts, placing in the same place where the painting of Veronese was and is no more there, we know. So replacing things like this and making this kind of absolutely new project.
Well, I hope so. I mean, you have to be careful. I mean, how can you make anything new? Can you make anything new? I think all you can do is you put together the old things in a new sort of combination. And I'm very interested in ideas as cinema as conversation. I don't think we need big audiences anymore. We need smaller audiences.
Conversation pieces.
Smaller and smaller audiences, 20 people, 30 people, 40 people. And I want to be able to address them more personally. So what you will see tomorrow, I show you 5 clips indeed, and I hope you'll find them entertaining. And technologically, they're extraordinary. But I'm also there as well, so I'm talking to you as well. So, cinema came out of the fairground, it came out of circuses, it came out of variety shows.